Hello, goodbye, and hello again. Welcome back to Drifter Carbon and to another Minecraft texture pack review. Today we're taking a look at NostalGea by Hybrid and Pathway Studios. It's about 830 Minecraft coins and it was about 7 megabytes big, so pretty small, as one would expect from a 16x texture pack. This one says, turn back time and enter a world that throws back to the old days when 2D games reigned supreme. This resource pack loaded with nostalgia shows limited and simple colors to paint the world and is perfect for bringing back childhood memories. Retro 16x textures utilizes a 24 color palette affecting blocks, creatures, and more. And it's 1.21 ready, so it's been updated recently. By Hybrid and Pathway Studios. Okay, if you've not seen one of these videos before, how this works is I show off all the textures and then I give my final thoughts on the pack as a whole. So let's go. There's no avatars in this pack, so we're just gonna go ahead and jump on in. Alrighty. So yes, you can already tell that this is definitely going for a different vibe than a lot of texture packs, but it's interesting when somebody does something different. You know, imposes some hard limitations on themselves when creating something. But yeah, so let's start by looking at things that grow. You can see that, oh, yes, I guess this has been updated since the Pale Garden stuff, so that's good. You see all the baby trees. They do look like something out of like a Game Boy title or something, or Game Boy Color, I guess. There you go, there's the mushrooms. Various slightly different mushrooms. Slightly different from each other, that is. Got the jack-o'-lantern and the carved pumpkin there. Here's the other crops. There you go, there's the flowers. These are pretty well done for so far for something that's going for this limited style. I do think that the trees evoke that era. Here's some of the Pale Garden stuff. Nice. Okay. Cool. Giant mushrooms. Look at that from above and from below. Here's all the different logs next to each other. They didn't just color swap these. These are all different patterns. So you've at least got some variety. And the shaved logs also look different enough from their non-shaved version. Some of them are kind of similar, but like this one in particular looks very similar to that one, but that's okay. Here's planks. Nice that there's like the plank patterns are all very different from each other. So even though there's limitations on the color palette and stuff, they're not skimping out on they're not cutting corners like some packs. Are there variations? No, it looks like all the planks are the same. I'm also looking at the ground textures here, and they seem to be the same. So this didn't bother to have, you know, extra textures and stuff for each block, but that's a pretty rare sight. But I always look for it just in case they do. Here's dirt, sand, gravel, and moss. There you go. And suspicious sand and suspicious gravel. You can, well, on the suspicious sand, you can tell it's suspicious. The suspicious gravel is a little harder to tell. Maybe it's a different color. Not really. I guess it does have a different pattern, actually. Just, you know, you have to know what to look for. Not necessarily the most obvious differences there. Here's the sandstone. Nice, like, hieroglyphics or something carved into the sandstone. Stone and stuff. Yeah, these look good. They're still mostly identifiable as what they are. They just, well, they, I don't know. If you ask me what a lot of these blocks were without any context of what they were, I might not be able to tell you. I'd be able to tell you that these were some sort of stone, but which one was which might be a little more difficult. Here's the polished stones. The readability is not necessarily the highest we've ever seen. These polished stones, some of them look more polished than others. Cobblestones. Here's bricks. Those look fine. Stone, bricks, blocks, etc. Some fun designs in here. You know, lots of cool, like 16-bit pixel art. The glass, that looks like the glass is mostly the same. There's one or two that are different, but relatively easy to see through. It may be a little difficult to see some of the mobs that we have encased in glass later, because it's got patterns across it. But as far as this style that goes, that's fine. I mean, as far as you know, the stained glass look, these are good. Wool, concrete powder. Here's concrete. Those are all pretty simple. Terracotta. Here's the glazed terracotta. Interesting. Some of these are similar to their default patterns, but a lot of these are quite different. A lot of these would make for good, like, floor patterns. Or pretty easy to tell which blocks have ore in them. Nether ore. Here's deep slate ore. Same story. A little bit harder to pick out what ore is what sometimes, but you know. The amethyst. Here's the random lonely magma block. It is animated. Fun. Sponges. You can definitely tell the difference between the wet and the dry sponge in this pack. Good. Light sources. Here's the bulbs. Nice. Always nice to see something that's been updated recently. The campfires. Here's miscellaneous light sources. They do have some animation going on here. Not everybody bothers to animate stuff, but that always gets some bonus points there. We had a glitch in the sky back there for a single frame. Oh, speaking of the sky, what's the sky look like? Okay, just a square sun and the usual pixelated clouds. Here's signs. This one might be a little difficult to read at times, especially from a distance. But yeah, the pattern is very strong, which makes it a little difficult to read. Here's the hanging signs. Yeah, like that's not necessarily the easiest sign on the eyes. Monster spawner. Here's fences and gates. Let's throw a snowball. Hold on, that's what throwing a snowball looks like. Here's a firework. Yes, that does have custom particles. Nice. Wind charge. Alrighty. No bucket buddies on this one, but I would expect it not to. A bucket buddy is when there's a 3D model on a bucket. It's a callback to the actions and stuff review that I did a while back. There's a dried kelp block. Here's lapis, diamond, lapis, gold, emerald, and redstone blocks. That's fun. The gold block is like gold bars or bricks. Iron block, same as the gold, it's just iron. Raw copper, gold, and iron. The lodestone. Here's prismarine, slime block, honey, hay bale, bone block. Here's the different quartz. I guess you could build with these. They're not the prettiest quartz we've ever seen, but, you know. The copper. These are some of the better looking blocks so far. Ladder. Here's the doors. Let's look at some doors. All of these are custom. Yeah, these work. You know, they're all very different from each other, and a lot of them have windows. I do like being able to see through my door, so very nice. There you go. Fits the style. Here's the trap doors. I guess some of these work better than others as couch arms. You know, the arms of couches or benches, bookcases, etc. You can tell they're supposed to be a bookcase. There's no variations on the bookcases. Here's an enchanting table. Let's look at beds. Looks like they have one pattern for the beds and they're just different colors. Always a little disappointing. Crafting table and villager job tables, because a lot of packs will have like at least a different pattern on the bedspreads. Villager table, sorry, crafting table and villager job tables. I think you can tell what most of these are supposed to be. That's good. That's the crafter back there. Here's the furnaces. Good, good. The anvil and grindstone. You can tell how damaged your anvil is, but this is one of those packs where you kind of have to know what to look for to tell how damaged it is, because there's not that much difference between the slightly damaged and the undamaged. And the really damaged just has a big dark spot in the center. Cauldrons, there's lava, there's a potion. They are animated. Chests, you can tell which one is trapped. Here's a barrel, jukebox and note block. There you go. The note block, the note coming off of it is a custom graphic, so I should really do that all the time. Empty armor stand, the beacon, the bell. The iron bars are not rendering in properly because there's hold on. I do have more than one iron bar here. Only one of them is showing up. Not sure what's going on there. I guess we'll see later on when we're in the Stronghold Below template world. Whether the bars render properly in that world. Here's the paintings, and they're all custom. That's fun. Yeah, they did a good job. That's like the Caco Demon from Doom. I may be getting that name wrong. It's been a while since I played Doom, but Binding of Isaac. Yeah, they're making references to some new and old games here. That's like the owl from gosh, what company was that? I played their computer games a lot as a kid, but the name's not coming to me right now. I apologize, but that's reminiscent of the brand logo for some old computer games. These are fun. There's some that are like classic paintings and stuff, and some that are other things. Old, you know. That's cool. Those were good for the style that they're going for. There's item frames. Here's rails. You can definitely tell the custom ones. I mean, the special ones are special. though you might not immediately recognize which is which. Here's mine carts. That's what a TNT block looks like. Sheep in a mine cart. Here's redstone stuff. Went for kind of a different aesthetic with the redstone stuff. Different design. Some of them, a lot of them have like faces and stuff, but they didn't go for that in this one. That's a sticky piston there. Here's the pottery. Appropriately enough, they've got low pixel count versions of all of the different icons. Cool. That works. Scaffolding, banners, boats. Better look at the boats. There you go. Tough. Yeah, these are pretty good looking tough. Here's a trial spawner and a vault. Does it animate when you get close to it? It doesn't look like it does, actually. Oh wait, yes it does. Okay. So that's open, and then getting away is closed. So all it really does is the eyes light up when you get close to it. That's why it threw me off at first, was because I didn't notice that the eyes changed. Not much of an animation on that, honestly. I'm used to having a mouth that opens that you insert the key into. Here's resin, the different resin blocks. They're all different from each other. There's some resin on some different items, some different blocks. There's a target. Here's heads. There's the player head and the mob heads. So that's kind of a little bit of a spoiler for what the mobs are going to look like later. There's the dragon egg. Let's jump on back. So as a whole, I thought that the blocks were fine. You know, like I think they did a good job of keeping their style consistent throughout the pack. The readability could be higher, certainly. That's my only major complaint with that. Is some of the things, it's a little hard to tell what they were originally were supposed to be, but you know, sometimes you want a texture pack that makes things look wildly different from default. So this certainly does that. But anyway, let's look at the armors. It's looking like they, other than the chainmail, they have one design for all of the armor. And there's different weapons though, the different swords. These are all swords. That looks more like a shovel than a sword, but it's supposed to be a sword. So there's a few different designs here. Some of them are similar to each other, but you can see that they had some variety there. Not a huge fan of these armor set. This armor set. Here is the elytra and the shield. That's the turtle helmet. You can definitely tell what that is. There's the mace. Here is armor trims. These, as always, are amethyst armor trims on iron armor. Looks like they've got custom designs for these, which is nice to see. There's not always a whole lot going on, actually, on a lot of these, like especially the chest plates. Not a whole lot that's different. I'm not entirely sure that's rendering in right. I guess that is different. Okay, there's differences in the helms more so than in the torsos. So I'll look at things from this angle so you can see them from above. But they, you know, they have some different patterns going on with the armor trims there. So at least that's different. Let's look at some items. These are starting with the weapons and tools. So you've got your swords and then your axes and your pickaxes. And for things that are very pixelated. I think that they did a good job of making these still look like what they're supposed to be while being different from each other. So that's good. Here's other various things. That's the respawn compass, the regular compass. I guess that's the elytra there. Here's horns, horse armor, potions. Looks like they've really got one design for the potions. Here's so you might not be able to tell the difference between potions of a very similar color, but different nature. Here's food items. I think these work. I think these designs work for telling you what they're supposed to be. It's difficult to convey what something is with very few pixels. There's things in buckets. Here's minerals, various other things. There you go. And there's your mace again and other newer items there. All right, let's head back over this way. That's what a bench or a couch might look like. That's like a water cooler. Here's a nether portal. It's got kind of a almost like an exploding skull pattern. I guess that's what's going on there. Maybe it's just magical something. Let's look at the mobs. Here's the chicken. It looks like once again we have chickens that are just the default chicken. The chickens are not something weird happened with texture packs recently where the chickens and the cows and the pigs in a lot of texture packs, even ones that have been updated recently, like they default to the normal aesthetic even when you got a texture pack turned on. I'm not sure what's going on there. There's the bee. The cow, again, the cow and the pig and the chicken are just default. Makes them stand out against the rest of the mobs. Here's the sheep, but that's not the texture pack's fault. That's something weird that happened with Minecraft as a whole. Sheep. Wolf. Wolf and wolf armor. Kind of going for a low detail aesthetic. Here's the polar bear. The ocelot. I guess there's less that you can do with mobs. Here's cats. Less that you can do with mobs without changing their geometry when you're going for something with this few pixels. But you know, you've got representations of the different cats here, just with fewer pixels. The mushroom. The bat. Here's the parrots. They're extra grainy, extra pixelated. There you go. That's the rabbit. And the llama. It does all kind of look like something out of an old video game, which is what they're going for. The horses. Horses really don't have much going on with their eyes, but they do have different patterns on their bodies. I mean, their faces are very simple. Horses and horse armor. There you go. The horse armor. They're I guess they are just the same pattern. They just have different color scheme. The donkey and the mule. Skeleton horse. The zombie horse. Tropical fish. We're gonna have to jump in here and look at. Those are the most standard looking things in the pack so far. The cod, very dark water. That's what the cod look like. Not much detail going on there either. Pufferfish. See the pufferfish in the various stages of puffiness. Here's the salmon. Yes, I pronounced it that way on purpose. There you go. Dolphin. We still have a dolphin in here? We do. Alright. Yeah, that's a cute enough dolphin for the art style. Sea turtle. They didn't change the geometry on any of the mobs, so they're obviously easy to identify despite the low pixel count. Here's the panda. And the fox. Get a better look at the fox's face. There you go. Hold on. Alright. That's them. And here's the creeper. There you go. That's pretty much what you'd expect from the creeper in this art style. We will have to run out here and find an Enderman. Come on, Enderman. That's what they look like. You can see their muscles, I guess. We'll see them again later in the end section. Here's the silverfish. Pretty standard silverfish. The skeleton. Face over this way, skeleton. There you go. And the wither skeleton. Very similar to the regular skeleton. Stray. Here's the slime. Doesn't look like it has much of a face on it today. Spider and cave spider. Face over this way. There you go. That's what their faces look like. The zombie. Kind of a fun zombie. Bogged. And the husk. Yeah, this is very, it does kind of remind me of if like a Game Boy Color was in 3D, the Drowned. Did I say the husk? That's the husk. The bogged and the husk. I was kind of talking over it. Squid and glow squid. There you go. Cool. The witch. The guardian and elder guardian. There you go. They look pretty much how you'd expect them to as well. Fun endermite. That's what he looks like. Magma cube. Oh, the magma cube looks more different than usual. A lot of packs don't bother to do anything fun with the magma cube, but they've made him fit the style. I would hope so. The strider doesn't look that different when they're in the lava versus when they're out. They're just a slightly different color. The zoglin, the zombified hoglin. Very zombified today. Looks extra creepy. Here's the zombie piglin. And zombie piglin brute. The goat. Axolotl. Pretty standard looking axolotls, actually. I guess they just have less pixels, but they're more similar than most of these mobs to the... Hold on. Anyway, here's the allay. Hold on, get a better look at them. We're all facing over this way right now. Look at their faces. They've just got white eyes. This is the frog. It just jumped in the water, didn't it? Dang it, frog. Come out of there. Come on. Jump on out. Come on. There you go. That's what the frog looks like. Wandering trader. I'm going to have to spawn in again. Get out, Joey Llamas, trader. There you go. That's what the trader looks like. Kind of a different different look for the trader there, but you can still tell it's a trader. The camel. Camel almost looks like it has more detail than usual because it's got the pixels. Here's the blaze. Kind of a funny face on the blaze. The ghast. We will get a better look at the ghast here in a little while. Here's the shulker. It looks like it's just an eyeball in this pack. Sided shell, the Vindicator and Evoker. There you go. And the Villagers. There you go. They've got different skin tones at least, and they look different with their accessories. Somewhat different. They're actually similar to each other, but you know, you can still tell the difference between some of the different jobs. Here's the zombie villagers, the phantom, the pillager. Get in here with the pillagers so we can see them better. There you go. That's a kind of a different look for the pillager. The Ravager. Oops, didn't mean to go on that side of the wall. I meant to go on this side of the wall. Okay, there you go. It's kind of pink today. The Iron Golem and Damaged Iron Golem. You can definitely tell how damaged it is. There's enough cracks on the damaged one that it's nice and easy to tell. Snow Golem and Snow Golem with its pumpkin carved off. The Sniffer. There you go. Very old looking Sniffer. Armadillo. And the Warden. Creepy looking Warden. Here's the Breeze. There you go. That's what the Breeze looks like. And the Wither. Just a bony boy. Here's the Creaking. We've seen very few custom Creaking so far. Okay, so the mobs. What do I think about the mobs? I think, given what they're going for with this pack, I think they did a good job. Like I'm not sure that I personally would vibe with what they're going for with the overall aesthetics, but I can definitely see that they did a good job of representing what everything is supposed to be. Like there's certain mobs that they put in enough detail in their pixel art that they didn't just phone it in. Some of the mobs were more basic, but some of them were good. All right, let's go to the Nether. Alrighty, here we're on the Nether. It's nice to see an actual biome, like in the texture pack, because that way you get kind of a feel for what playing it would actually be like. Because when we're in the overworld, it's kind of just like, here are some blocks, but I tried to show off enough of the overworld and the Nether and the end that you get a feel for what playing with it with the texture pack would actually be like. Here's the Hoglins. They're very grainy as well, like their zombified brethren. That's what they look like. Well, definitely one of the more interesting mobs in this pack. The Respawn Anchor and the Lit Respawn Anchor. activated one. Here's the piglins. We do have a couple of kinds of piglin here, and they're both represented. They don't look the same. Got their different outfits and stuff, fully represented in the art style. So that's good to see. Go on out here, find a ghast. That's what the ghasts look like. I'm looking forward to the happy ghast. That should be interesting when it comes out. That's kind of dating this video, is that it wasn't too long ago that they announced that. It's been a month or two now, but you know. Go out here to this other biome so you can see what the trees look like. So I've got like the tree trunks in the overworld, but I don't have the leaves, and it just looks different on the tree itself. So, all right, let's go on to the next thing. All right, here we are in the Stronghold Below template world. If you'd like to create a world that's very similar to this one with a stronghold right about here, when you're creating a new world, next to where you would input a custom seed, there's a button you can click for templates, and this one is called Stronghold Below. Starts you out either in or near this snowy village here. We're going to fly around a little bit and look around. Here's what the villager houses look like. So as you can see, the you can definitely build in this pack. It looks okay. Here's the frozen water and the ice. Very simple textures there. I'm gonna fly off over this way and look at the cobwebs in the abandoned village, or the haunted village, whatever you want to call it. That's the cobweb. Over here is a ruined portal. So you can see what the crying obsidian looks like. It doesn't look very crying. It just looks slightly different from the, like it's got highlights. But there's another kind of villager house here. That's the pig house. That's where the pigs live. I didn't put the pigs there. They moved in on their own. Here somewhere, there's the composter. I don't have that in the other world. All right, let's go ahead and jump on in to the stronghold. This is what the stronghold looks like. Okay, the bars seem to be rendering this time. It was kind of strange that they weren't rendering fully on the other world, but not sure what's going on there. So yes, this is what bars look like in this pack. Here is what a monster spawner looks like with monsters in it. Before I go in there, let's drink a potion of strength so we can see this is what the swirlies look like. Blowing the goat horn, firing a crossbow, reloading the crossbow. Here's what a sword looks like in your hand. I think that this looks fine for the art style, for what they were going for. They did a good enough job on the weapons. We've seen some texture packs that went for like a low pixel count style that the weapons looked worse than this one. Here's the pumpkin pie. Nothing much going on there. Potion of enchanting has kind of a different effect. And you can see the experience orb this way as well. They almost look like little coins. Let's go ahead and start the portal. There you go. That's what the end portal looks like. I think we just had a silverfish enter the end. We did. Welcome to the end, little guy. There's no way for you to get home. You'll probably die in here. Here's what the void looks like in the end. It's white static this time instead of dark static. Here's a better look at the Endermen from the front. We didn't get to see them very well earlier. We're going to take a look at this end crystal, and then we'll look at the Ender Dragon. There you go. That's what that looks like. And we'll have to wait for the Ender Dragon to come around again. Oh, we didn't have to wait long. There you go. That's what the Ender Dragon looks like. Pretty much, it almost looks like some of the stone patterns that we were seeing, some of the rock patterns. But I guess it's more scale-like. Yeah, so that's fine. That's fitting. All right. So, what do I think of this pack as a whole? Well, I'm not sure that I personally would necessarily buy this one, but I do think that they did a good job of fitting the theme that they were going for. Like, they did make it look like an old NES or SNES, or especially like Game Boy Color style game. And but in 3D, obviously, and in the usual voxel Minecraft style. They didn't change the geometry on any of the mobs, but they and the readability certainly could have been better on some of the blocks and stuff, but the items were identifiable as what they're supposed to be, which is always nice. Yeah, I mean, like I feel like with this pack, you know what you're getting into. You know, I feel like you do get what you're asking for. So I'm gonna give it about a 4, I would say, out of 5. But yeah, if you would like to comment down below and tell me your thoughts on this pack, then please do. I'm trying to say that in videos now. You know, increase engagement with my content might get me a few extra views, but I would like to hear what you think on this pack. And if you enjoyed this, if this helped you, please leave it a like and please subscribe for more, because I try to do one of these videos about once a week. I'm trying to get back on a regular schedule of doing videos. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you next time. Peace. Thank you. Please like, subscribe, and share.